The following is a presentation from PokerStars.com. Last night on the Big Game.
Was ready?
Our first female loose cannon came out firing.
Just call me Nadya KGB.
Nadya KGB bet, bluffed, and smiled her way to 3 big pots. Her play impressed the pros.
Get us another loose cannon.
Then Joe Catta set a trap that ruined her night.
Joe slow-rolled me.
Next, will the ultimate poker dream come true? Or is this the beginning of a nightmare for an overmatched amateur? Find out now.
This is the PokerStars.com Big Game.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Las Vegas and the state-of-the-art poker room where we play the big game. Alongside Joe Stapleton, I'm Chris Rose, and tonight we have some of the top young pros in the world playing in a high-stakes cash game that is guaranteed to keep us glued to the table.
After 28 hands, Thinking Man's poker player Justin Bonomo is our leader so far. He's up almost 50K.
On his left is Barry Greenstein, who's down over $12,000 so far.
23-year-old Jason Mercier, he burst on the scene 2 years ago and has won 9 live tournaments since. In this game, he's up 32 dimes.
2009 main event champion Joe Catta won only 1 pot last night. He is stuck over 35K.
Daniel Negreanu is no stranger to the nosebleed cash games. Right now, he's fighting a 13K loss.
These established players are waiting for the loose cannon, Nadya Magnus, who has staked 100 grand. She's standing by with Amanda Leatherman.
Nadya, you're down a chunk right now. Just a little chunk, but you're sitting at the table with some of the best players in the world. How are you feeling?
Actually, I feel pretty comfortable right now. Much better than in the beginning of the game.
Have you learned anything?
Yeah, I learned quite a bit, but I'm going to keep it to myself because the night is still young.
And you don't want them to hear you.
Absolutely not.
All right, Nadya, good luck, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Like all loose cannons, Nadya has been staked 100 grand and keeps all profits above the initial 100,000. At the end of the season, the loose cannon who wins the most money earns a North American Poker Tour passport worth 50,000.
Welcome back, Nadya.
Everyone's under Nadia's spell.
Did they tell you that I need the most luck at this table?
She's even got the dealer.
He's a little smitten. Joe Catta folds. Danny Alai, King Jack, raises to 1,500. Nadya, Ace 7, folds.
Disciplined fold from Nadya.
Big slick for Justin.
Raise.
Bonomo raises to 5,000.
With guys like Bonomo, Mercier, Danny at the table, the 3-bet doesn't always mean a huge hand. What Danny doesn't know is in this case he is dominated.
Action is back on Danny. And calls.
Bonomo's perfectly capable of 3-betting light. Danny wants to see a flop.
Which is 9, Queen, 10. Danny checks.
What's domination matter when you know you're going to flop the joint? Danny's flopped a straight.
Bonomo checks. 3 of diamonds on the turn.
Danny's hand is no longer the nuts. But if Bonomo had diamonds, he probably would have betted on the flop.
Danny checks. And Justin checks.
Bonomo still just got ace-king.
8 of clubs on the river.
There's a 4-card straight out there now. Danny should bet this hand if he wants to try to get any value at all. It's a good card if it makes your opponent a costly second-best hand, but in this case, it'll probably just be an action killer.
Danny bets 8,200. And Bonomo folds.
Danny flops a straight, but got less value out of it than grocery shopping at 7-Eleven.
Danny wins our first pot of the night. And as he stacks his chips, let's take a look at the rules of the big game. Each table lasts exactly 150 hands. The action pre-flop is pot limit, then becomes no limit after the flop. Blinds are 2 and 400 with a $100 ante, all of which is paid by the player on the button. Each player begins with at least a $100,000 buy-in, but can reload for up to $500,000. Nadya is from Palatine, Illinois. Says it's her dream to become a professional poker player. She folds. A good showing here would go a long way toward achieving that dream. Justin Bonomo raised to 1,400.
1400.
Barry folds. Jason Mercier's out. Joe Catta. 10-6 suited, out of the way. Danny, Queen 10. Calls.
Danny's got a 1-gapper. So does Justin, who's also got a slight lead with his king.
5 ace king, a pair of spades. Check by Danny,
Bonomo's got middle pair.
and he checks.
Playing very cautiously against each other.
5 of clubs on the turn. Danny checks again. So does Justin. Queen of hearts on the river,
Danny's made a pair.
and checks again.
Not really a lot of value to betting there. It's the 3rd pair on board.
Justin fires 2,200, and Danny folds.
Nice attempt at a value bet from Justin, but Danny didn't bite. Justin Bonomo is getting aggressive early here. So far, it's been working for him. After 31 hands, he leads the way in pre-flop raise percentage, raising 29% of his hands, parlaying that aggression to a profit of $44,000.
What's your biggest tournament cash?
9K.
What was that in? What tournament?
It was a ladies tournament at the circuit event.
Most ladies' events can't officially ban men from playing, so Chris, you're in.
I've put it on the calendar, Joe.
Circuit event in Indiana or what?
Chris Rose, FTW.
+1.
Yeah, no, I know.
We won the ladies event.
Oh, nice. I've never done that.
You've never won a ladies event?
No, never.
You know you can play in them, right?
I don't believe Jason hasn't.
Final table with a couple of them. But
Mercier and I are actually going together. Catta raises to 1,400. Danny in the small blind. Re-raises to 5,000.
Nice little 3-bet steal attempt from Danny.
Nadya folds the big blind. Action's on Joe. Catta calls on the button.
Catta makes a loose call from the button. Somehow he's ahead.
Ace, deuce, deuce.
Both players miss. Joe still got the best hand. Danny was repping a big hand with his pre-flop repop. I don't expect him to give it up so easily. There it is.
That's 4,200.
Joe Catta once again seems reluctant to let go of his hand. No pair, no real draw. Just trying to get a read off Danny. How do you get a read off that face? He's like a statue.
His expression has not changed the first 2 nights.
It's like watching the show on pause.
Joe does call. Queen of diamonds on the turn.
Now both players have picked up flush draws. Danny carefully considering his next move.
He checks.
If Catta was calling on the flop with the intent of trying to take it down on a later street, this would be a good time for him to bet his flush draw.
There's a bet of 8,500.
Remember, Danny re-raised light pre-flop and then fired on the flop. Now he's got a bona fide flush draw. We know a diamond would be disastrous for him. Let's see if he wants to continue this hand now that he's facing a bet.
He does not.
Nice read and nice bet by Joe.
Solid pot won by the 2009 main event champion, Joe Catta. More from Las Vegas coming your way after this.
This is the PokerStars.com Big Game.
We are back, and the loose cannon, Nadya Magnus, she was down, she was up, now she's down again, almost $18,000 from the original 100 grand she was staked. But this online qualifier is playing some of the best in the entire world, including the young pro Danny Alai.
Danny is 26 years old. He lives in beautiful Southern California, and he's got 2 World Series of Poker bracelets. His favorite movie is Fight Club, but he doesn't like to fight at the table. He really believes in proper etiquette, a.k.a. stay classy, San Diego.
Action continues with Barry, who folds. Jason Mercier does as well. Joe Catta raises to 1,400.
Someone's an action junkie.
Pocket kings for Danny.
This may cause some trouble for Joe.
On the button. Just a smooth call.
He's going to let the original Razor keep the lead for now.
The loose cannon, Nadya looking at Jack 8 suited.
How much is it?
1,400 total.
14?
Calls.
It's a pretty loose call from the loose cannon, calling this out of position.
Joe, I want my money back.
I'm not the only one in the hand.
Me too. Yeah, you and me. Let's take it down.
9-6 Jack, 2 hearts on the flop.
Nadia's flop top pair. This could end up being a misfire for the loose cannon.
She checks.
Cat has got middle pair. He was the pre-flop Razor.
Leads out 3,400.
Danny just called pre-flop. This is exactly the kind of flop he was hoping for. I'm sure he'd prefer to not continue to play this hand against 2 opponents, even if one of them is the amateur loose cannon.
There's a raise to 10-2.
You can hear alarm bells going off in Nadia's head. Time for Nadya KGB to escape the complex.
She folds.
Good fold.
So does Joe.
Don't you guys just love the way Danny throws his chips in? I just,
How to throw them in?
just the, I can't even do it. Can't explain it either.
I'm not even aware of it.
That's how you know it's cool. He doesn't even know he's doing it.
Quick reminder that at the end of 150 hands, our loose cannon Nadya can either walk away and keep her profits or risk the winnings to come back next week. Of course, first, Joe, she has to get out of the red.
New hand, new possibilities.
Jack 10 offsuit.
In these games.
Nadya raises to 1,400.
No passive play from Nadya. She's taking matters into her own hands.
Justin calls with a suited one-gapper. Barry folds. So does Mercier. So does Joe.
And Nadia's got Justin dominated going into this flop.
7-10 king. Both hit middle pair.
That's right. Justin's flop middle pair against a player has proven to be fairly aggressive.
She leads out 2,100. Justin calls quickly.
I'm sure Nadya would have rather Justin just fold there.
The turn, 9 of spades.
Justin's picked up a monster draw. It's unlikely he'll fold to any reasonable size bet. Maybe not even an unreasonable one.
5,100 is Nadia's bet.
Open-ended straight flush draw.
Bonomo calls,
A lot of players would have raised there. Justin wants to peel off one last card.
which is the queen of clubs, completing Nadia's straight.
Nadia's got a straight, but it's not the nut straight. We'll see how much she bets here.
She doesn't. She checks.
Interesting move from the amateur. Justin's only got a pair of 10s, and he's missed all of his draws.
He fires 14-5.
Nadia's taking a moment. Bonomo has fired an overbet, more than the size of the pot. There is a bigger straight out there, but I can't imagine Nadya would fold.
Come on in.
Nadya is all in. That's an eye-opener for Justin.
The look of genuine surprise from Justin.
And a fold.
Loose cannons aren't supposed to do that, by the way. I don't know if they told you in the rules.
I was like actually thinking like that would be so awesome if she check shoved.
That's not what I was thinking, actually.
Nice hand, Nadya.
Thank you.
You could show one if you want.
No way.
Just like a deuce.
Show an ace.
A deuce would be awesome if you could pull it out of there.
Winning that pot once again gives Nadya a profit.
You gave it all the, like, upset when the queen hit. You see that? The reel.
I didn't even know.
You're an online player. You don't notice that stuff. The reel back when the queen hit. Danny knows. Danny knows it because he's a live player. I forgot. You guys are just looking at the screen.
I saw it.
Okay, now we know you play enough live poker.
Barry crediting Nadya with some reverse tells. Tough to get a compliment out of the poker legend. Congrats, Nadya.
Action folds on over to Barry. Raise to 1,500. Jason folds. Joe's out. Pocket pair for Danny.
He's not going anywhere.
Calls. And Nadya folds.
No surprise, Barry raised light into Nadya's big blind, but the wrong guy came along for the ride.
I don't want you in my pots.
The flop. Queen, Jack, Jack, 2 hearts.
Might be a scary board for sevens, but Danny knows the odds are in his favor that Barry will continuation bet with nothing.
Which he does to 2,000. Danny, who checked after the flop, calls.
Likes his 2 sevens, but probably not enough to raise.
4 of hearts on the turn.
Barry's picked up a flush draw.
Danny checks. Barry checks. 3 of hearts completes Barry's flush. Danny checks.
Barry's got the best hand.
Barry bets 5,000.
This is a very tough call to make without a heart in your hand.
Nope, no hearts under there. And Danny folds.
In this case, Barry's aggression allowed him to get 2 free cards and eventually make a flush.
So good lay down by Danny, and Barry rakes in his first pot of the night. Are there more to come? Find out when we return to the big game.
I'm Justin Bonomo, sometimes known as Z Justin online. I think the idea of having a loose cannon in these games is brilliant. It just totally changes the dynamic. Maybe they'll have 90,000 and now it's time to gamble. The professional players really need to be thinking on their feet. There's definitely going to be a lot of psychology involved in figuring out exactly how the loose cannon's going to play.
Seems to be the prevailing theory. The pros seem very interested to gauge the presence of the loose cannon. So far, Justin has done well. He is up more than 21,000. Meanwhile, Nadya showing a slight profit. She is up just over 4 grand.
You mean the pros are interested in the amateur who's been handed 100 grand to play with?
Let's see, how do I get that from there to here? Hand 40 out of 150, and it's pocket kings for Jason Mercier. Raised to 1,400.
More kings for Jason's little castle. If you build it, they will come.
Action folds over to the loose cannon, who folds. Justin, Jack 10 suited, small blind. Calls. Barry calls as well.
If you were watching last night, you saw Jason Mercier pick up kings with back-to-back hands. They must be attracted to his chip stack castle.
5 ace queen.
Bonomo and Greenstein both missed.
Goes check, check.
They both flop gutter ball draws on opposite ends.
Mercier bets 2,300.
He's going to take a stab at this despite the ace.
Bonomo calls. So does Barry.
Both like their gut shot draws, and I'm sure Barry wouldn't mind seeing another diamond.
The turn, 9 of hearts.
Bonomo's picked up some more outs, but still only has Jack high for right now.
Check, check.
Justin checks, Barry checks. And Jason checks.
Little pot control on the turn.
Ace on the river.
The ace is actually a good card for Jason. Makes it less likely that someone else has one, and no one's represented one thus far.
Check, check.
Justin checks, Barry checks.
Check. I think I win if no one has an ace.
Decides to play it cautiously. Does have the winner.
No, I feel like Justin.
Not sure what that means. Not sure Justin knows either.
Barry's confused too. But he gets it. He gets it.
Audience of one.
We'll play 150 hands this week. This is hand 43. 9-7 suited for the loose cannon. A rare limp.
Nadia's mixing up her game.
Jason folds. Joe Cata, he calls. And Danny, he's going to get a free look at the flop. 3 players to the flop. Tray 4-7, 2 hearts.
Nadia's flop top pair. Kat and Danny each have flop bottom pair.
Goes check, check over to the loose cannon, who fires 1,500.
Kata trying to decide if she could be bluffing this flop.
He folds. And Danny, respect as well.
Nice little pot for Nadya.
Once again, Nadya can hear those cheers all the way back in Palatine, Illinois, where her 16-year-old son, Roman, is cheering her on. Action begins with Justin, who folds.
1 chip, 2 chips.
Barry mucks. Ace-8 for Jason. Raises to 1,400. Ace-6 suited for Joe Kata. On the button. Coming over the top to 5,200.
Kata knows from Jason's late position he could have been opening light.
But how do you like this? Big slick for the loose cannon.
Ace-King can get pretty tricky after a raise and a re-raise, but Nadia's shown us she's not afraid to play with these guys. I mean, if they're all at a bar, who would be afraid of who?
She calls. Now action back on Jason.
Jason's checking out stack sizes.
And Jason folds through the fortress.
You coming from back?
Kata cold deck Nadya out of about 30K earlier in the week.
Deuce, king, 10, 2 clubs.
Nadia's flop top pair.
She checks.
You can see Joe's drawing very thin. Joe is a pre-flop raiser.
Fires 8,200.
With top pair, this continuation bet probably isn't going to make Nadya fold.
She's working the chips.
Joe's noticed the C bet hasn't worked.
She smooth calls.
With the 3-betting pre-flop, the size of this pot is already getting quite big. Nadia's content just to call.
10 of spades on the turn. Nadya checks again.
She may be trying to let Joe barrel again, but my gut says she doesn't love that 10.
Ah, the whirling dervish check by Kata. 6 of spades on the river.
Kata's paired is 6, but Nadya still has the best hand. She checks.
So does Joe.
Base king.
Kata loses another pot, but at least he didn't add insult to injury by trying to take it away on the river.
Nadya, who was a figure skater as a child over in the former Soviet Union, plays another cool hand and collects. We'll see if she can keep it up when we come back to the big game. As play continues, Joe, you take a look at this table. You got the old guard with Barry Greenstein, a few of the young guns out there, and Justin, Jason, and Joe. How do you size up the poker landscape?
You know, those 3 guys are great examples of the way that young internet players have changed the face of the game. They all think about the game so much differently now than in the past, and math has become a way bigger factor.
That's what I'm planning on doing. Haven't played very much.
Well, the old grizzled vet, Barry folds. Ace-king for one of the new rock stars, Jason. Raises to 1,500.
Not a raise that requires a ton of thinking.
So another pot for Mercier, the newest superstar on the felt, who can see the bigger picture.
My name is Jason Mercier, and I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Yeah, I'd say that I'm not exactly your average professional poker player. You know, I had like a real stable upbringing. I was the youngest of 4 kids. You know, my parents were very religious. You know, I went to Christian school. I went to church every Sunday. You know, I really liked, you know, having a big family, you know, family gatherings and all that. And, you know, I want that someday for myself. My goal in poker really doesn't really have much to do with like accolades. I really just want to set myself up financially so that I don't necessarily have to play poker and travel all the time for the rest of my life. You know, I would really like to make, you know, within the next 5 to 10 years about $10 million. And then if I really want to call it quit, then I would have that option to do so. If I were to quit poker, I would want to like try and raise a family, you know, kind of settle down, hopefully have a wife or find a wife or get a wife, whatever that entails. and you know, start having kids and you know, having a somewhat normal life.
So what Jason's saying is the next addition to his little chip stack project there is going to be a picket fence and a nursery.
Well said. How about his game?
Well, as I mentioned before, these young players have changed the game, and one of the ways they've done that is the increased amount of 3-betting that goes on. 3-betting is basically a pre-flop re-raise. Jason's 3-bet percentage is a whopping 12%, crushing everyone else at the table. One of these young gun tactics is to try to get aggressive and control the action pre-flop, and that's what Jason's been doing through the first 49 hands.
Well, the action begins on another one of the young guns, Justin Bonomo. Jack 9 suited. And there's a pre-flop raise to 1,400. Barry folds. Jason, king deuce.
Not folding.
Not only is he not folding, he is re-raising to 4,700.
Now we got to redo that graphic.
Action folds around to the loose cannon. She folds. Back to the original raiser. I'm out.
Jason Mercier is like a commercial for 3-betting. Do it. You win without even seeing a flop. Jason's been running really hot the last couple of years, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down at all.
Action begins on the 3-time World Series of Poker bracelet winner, Barry Greenstein. He folds. Back to Jason. He's out.
Finally taking a hand off.
Joe looks like he's going to be sticking around for one. Raises to 1,400. Danny folds on the button. Nadya, the loose cannon, ace 10.
This hand can be tough to play if you're up against a bigger ace.
Calls. Justin out of the big blind. Folds.
Me and you again.
You and me.
I'm getting you this time. I won, then you won. Now it's my turn. We take turns.
Well, isn't that nice?
It's just the way Helmuth and Tony G did it earlier in the big game. 9 tray king, 3 hearts.
Nadya's whiffed. Cat has flopped the gut shot and the second nut flush draw.
She checks on over to Joe.
That's a compliment for you.
Wouldn't be surprised if we saw a semi-bluff.
Here it comes, betting 2,500.
Enjoy.
She folds. Joe Catta was right. This one was his, but he still stuck more than 40 grand. Can the 09 main event champion rebound? Find out when we come back. Welcome back to the big game where online qualifier Nadya Magnus is sitting pretty after 51 hands and keeping good company at the top of the money board. She is currently up over 20 grand, but Nadya really wants to win more than 50,300 put up by the first loose cannon, Ernest Wiggins. Remember, the loose cannon with the most coin at the end of the season wins a North American Poker Tour passport worth $50,000. Action on Jason Mercier. Folds. Joe Catta out of here. Danny, see ya. Loose cannon on the button. King 10 suited.
Perfectly fine raising hand on the button.
She's listening to you. Raised to 1,400. Jack 5 for Justin. Folds. So does Barry. And Nadya picks up a little pot.
No one's really attacking Nadya. Showing her a decent amount of respect.
She is looking more and more comfortable here playing against this crew at the big game.
And if she keeps raking pots at this rate, she may give Ernest Wiggins a run for his money, but it is no limit, and one hand can end it all.
Joe Catta. Fold. Danny. 6-9 suited. Comes out firing, raising to 1,600.
Danny's turn to mix it up a little bit.
Action folds over to Jason Mercier. Also suited.
Doesn't look like he's folding.
He is calling.
Loose defend from Jason. Let's see how he proceeds.
Jack tray 8. 2 hearts. Mercier checks.
Even though Danny's only got 9 high, as you can see, he's the favorite to win.
Fires 3,200, and Jason folds.
32. Another semi-bluff takes it down.
Danny picks up his first pot in a while.
Jason's not sweating it too much, maybe thinking about that future wife.
Yeah, whatever that entails. Action starts with Danny.
You can find Danny playing a lot of 50-100 no limit at the Commerce Casino in Los Angeles, also the home casino of Barry Greenstein.
Danny looking at 5-4, folds. Nadya, 5-4, folds. Oh, okay, at least it's something different, but Justin still folds. Queen Jack suited. Barry raises to 1,500.
Yeah, I bet against Mike Mattis, so you laid me 6-5.
Queen Jack could easily be the best hand in late position.
Unless somebody's got pocket kings.
Then it's fairly unlikely to be the best hand.
What's the pot at?
Remember, we're pot limit pre-flop.
You can make it 53.
53.
And Kata makes it 5,300. Barry calls.
Barry looks like a sorcerer casting ingredients into a cauldron.
The flop. Queen 9-8. Greenstein hits top pair.
This isn't a great flop for Joe. Barry hasn't caught him, but he's got top pair and a gut shot straight redraw. It's a hand that has a fairly good chance of improving.
Action's on Joe. Fires 7,800.
Barry knows his hand is pretty strong in this spot. You can see he's got chips in his hand already. I don't see him throwing it away. He also knows Cat has fired on the flop and then given up a few times already in this game. So it's conceivable Barry isn't putting him on a hand as strong as 2 kings.
Barry raises to 23,000.
19,000.
Barry thinks his hand is good, but basically at this point he's turned it into a bluff. A lot of players will just ship here if they think their kings are good. Let's see how Joe plays it.
Joe just calls.
Just one big $25,000 chip.
The turn, 6 of diamonds. Kata checks.
This is another bad card for Kata. Barry's just picked up 8 more outs. He's added a flush draw to go with his top pair and gut shot draw. He knows he has a ton of outs, and he might even think he has the best hand already.
Barry bets 35,000.
Kata looks sick over that bet. He's finally got the best hand, and Barry is putting him to a heck of a decision. It's fairly well known that Barry's style is to always bet, and that way your opponent's always guessing. At this point, people know he's doing it, but it still works. Kata seems genuinely befuddled. Got almost $100,000 in this pot.
Kata lays it down.
Yeah, it seemed like he had 2 10s.
It was a lot stronger than that.
What does that mean?
Pretty unlikely they'd had 2 10s.
No, I mean, it just felt like, yeah, it just felt like he had to have 2 10s.
We were all talking.
I don't know what that means.
That means I could beat 2 10s.
In this conversation, then we see 23,000 flying. Wow.
I don't even want to see that hand.
Is it too late for a spoiler alert?
Will Kata's evening continue to get spoiled? Find out when we come back. Welcome back to the big game in Las Vegas, Nevada. Alongside Joe Stapleton, I'm Chris Rose. We just watched Barry Greenstein take down a big pot against Joe Kata. Greenstein batting leadoff. Raises to 1,500.
Not only did he win the pot, he got Kata to lay down the best hand.
Action folds around to the loose cannon. She folds.
I shouldn't be giving away all my secrets.
Justin folds, and Barry's raise gets it done.
I know you can't tell, but this is Barry Greenstein looking elated.
Well, we just saw Barry make Joe Cata lay down the best hand. What was going through Barry's mind? Let's take you behind the poker face.
So far, the most interesting hand I played is where I queen jack of diamonds on the button. I made a normal raise. I got re-raised from Joe Cat in the big blind. And I thought there was a chance he's just coming after me. He doesn't have to have a big hand because I am raising on the button. Queen jack of diamonds is a decent playing hand. So I called. And the flop came queen 9-8, all different suits. And Joe bet 7,800 out into the pot. And I had a decision. You know, I can't fold here with top pair, but I could just call and see what happens on the turn. But because I thought Joe's range was wider than normal, I thought it's better to raise right here. And even if he has a legitimate re-raising hand like ace-king, I don't want to call here and just give him a free card to hit an ace or a king when raising would take the pot down. So I raised to 23,000, and Joe thought for a while, and I was afraid he was going to move in. If he moves in, he probably has me beat, and I may even decide to fold, but he just called. Calling was weird because I only had about 55,000 or so behind, and he called, 23,000. And calling is also strong. It's a play he might make with a set or a straight. So I was a little worried about what to do on the turn. But a diamond came give me a flush draw along with my gut shot, straight draw and top pair. So when he checked to me, I felt I had to bet. And the reason I felt I had to bet is if I have the best hand, I want to bet and not give him a free card. And if I was wrong and he moved in, I had a lot of outs against, let's say, aces or kings. So I had 55,000 left, so I bet 35,000, most of my chips. Leave him a little room in case he has some goofy hand and still has a goofy idea with even something like 6-7, the bottom end of the straight, and decides to make a play at me. Now, I was worried when I bet that he was just going to move in and he was going to have the best hand. But then he started thinking. And once he started thinking, I said, okay, if I had aces or kings and I had been in this position, I probably would have re-raised on the flop. Certainly, I would have moved in now. And if he's not moving in, then I guess I have the best hand. I started feeling a lot better about my hand. And he thought for a while and folded. Now, he's claiming he folded 2 kings. And I wouldn't have gotten into his spot. I would have re-raised on the flop myself. In some sense, my queen jack was the bottom of my range, so maybe it was reasonable. But I guess I might have gotten lucky on that hand to win it.
In case you missed it, that was a story about the Robin Hood of poker robbing a kid blind and taking him off pocket kings. LOL, Cashemans.
You're not known for folding pairs, Joe. I don't know if you know your reputation.
Yeah, you're known for getting it all in with deuces. How do you fold kings?
Yeah, I know.
Just trying to get some credibility, folding kings on national television.
You know, mathematically, kings is actually a better hand than deuces.
Sick burn.
God. I don't even want to watch this on TV.
We got Stapes in the commentary box. He'll be okay.
I think they're talking about you.
You know, I'm flattered, but remember, those who cannot do teach, and those who cannot teach do commentary.
Amanda, you look weird laughing all the way over there.
What do you want me to do? Come over here and sit?
Amanda, you keep your distance, young lady. Jason had raised to 1,400. Action's around to Barry, who folds, and so Jason takes down the pot.
I'm gonna come stand with you guys for a while.
Anyone object to Amanda coming over?
Can I sweat your hands?
Go in the booth and tell me, ask him what Barry had, and then come back and tell me.
You want me to? I don't think he would like that. But I can stand here and sweat Danny's hands.
All right.
And give...
All right. Make sure you look at him and give me some signals.
Sweat your hands too.
Yeah?
You need some help over here.
Obviously, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how.
Cata raises. Danny folds. The loose cannon looking at Queen 5. She folds. So does Justin. King Trey for Barry, who folds.
I hope I've been making really good folds.
Jason with the high fold.
Look what happens when I come over here.
I know, just stay over here. See how long it lasts.
Okay.
I'm good at winning the 1,200 pots.
Aren't you good at winning the 140 million chip pots?
I know, right?
Yeah, but that's not possible.
Now, you can't stand next to him if he's in the pot against me.
Yeah?
Yeah. Otherwise, he's going to take all my money.
I won't let him. I'll give you good luck kisses like I did to Doyle.
Sounds good to me.
You like older men? Is that? Oh.
No, with her.
With me.
Oh.
Okay, back to the action. Bonomo raises, ace-queen.
Oh, you kissed her, yeah.
Barry folds, ace-6 suited for Jason.
Jason's reaching for chips. We know he has the highest 3-bet percentage at the table.
And there he goes again, raising to 4,700. Cata folds. Back on over to Bonomo. Justin calls.
Bonomo's not falling for any of Mercier's nonsense.
2 to the flop. 8, Jack, 9, 2 diamonds.
Jason's flopped a flush draw. He's behind, but he's about a coin flip to end up the winner.
Jason checks.
Maybe some pot control from Jason. He doesn't have a made hand yet.
Justin bets 6,500.
Jason 3-bets regularly. Justin knows against Jason's range, ace-queen is good a fair percentage of the time.
Jason calls. The turn, 9 of clubs.
Still nothing but an ace high for both players.
Mercier checks. Bonomo checks. 4 of spades on the river.
It's a brick. Let's see if Jason wants to try to take this pot away. A big bet may get it done.
Jason does not fire, he checks. Justin checks.
Ace high.
How big?
Not big enough.
Board.
Ace queen. Again.
Bonomo wins a pot of more than 23,000.
Yeah, I keep getting the same hands. I've had king 10 multiple times. I've had king 3 like 6 times.
You won every time with ace queen, I'll tell you that much.
I don't know. How can you say that?
Well, Justin Bonomo has made a nice little profit. He is up nearly 27,000 as we see where everybody stands. Our loose cannon, Nadya, is up over 19K. Of course, her goal is to be on the plus side after 150 hands so she can keep the cash and perhaps even earn that North American Poker Tour passport.
That's a prize package worth another 50,000.
All right, guys, that's it for tonight. Nadya, you look like you're out of the red. Are you feeling any better?
Yeah, much better. I'm hanging in there.
Confident?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, Justin, you look like you've won the most so far.
Yeah, it's been a good session.
You don't look happy enough. Get up, do something.
I want to play some more. Let's go. Can't we just...
All right, then, let's wrap it up. I'm Amanda Leatherman saying goodbye for now. And remember, if you've got the cash and the guts, there's always a seat open at the big game. See you next time.
For Joe Stapleton, I'm Chris Rose. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Out of the red. Was that one of those out of Russia jokes or something?
Yeah, let's go. She's like, yeah, let's wrap it up. Oh my God, that was sick.
The preceding was a presentation from PokerStars.com.